whether it's in NASA or in the Department of Defense, are a little cautious about what they say because there have been so many lies made up about UFOs, and so many lies have been made up about all the space flights and all the the various things to do with NASA and with space. But I think everybody's a little skeptical about saying anything to anybody.
It'd be kind of like stepping in front of a podium, I suppose, and presenting the latest theory on who killed Kennedy.
Right.
It would be lost in the shuffle. It would be part of the noise. There's so much noise on the subject that, of course, coming from somebody like yourself, or Neil Armstrong, or anybody who's been in our space program, the words that you're saying tonight carry a lot of weight with the American people. Could you have spoken out in the way you're speaking out now when your career was active, when you were still in the space program, and if you had, what would have happened?
Well, I don't think anything would have happened. I always have spoken out pretty loud and clear on it. I've never had any warnings from anybody in either Department of Defense or NASA against speaking out. Contrary to what some news media are always saying, that, we're always warned not to say anything. I've never had any suppression at all of my speaking out.
Would it be your opinion, Gordon, that our government is very well aware of these things doing tremendous speeds and maneuvers in and just above our atmosphere, that they are fully aware of this?
I sure hope they are.
But is there any way with the technology that you know and I know they have, that they could not be aware of it?
No, I think there's just too many solid citizen people who have seen things to totally disregard it. And certainly, we even have had the skeptics who have always said that the speed of light is definitely by far the greatest limitation of any kind of speed we can move at, and yet every physicist in the block is now amazing neutrinos is looking around at many times the speed of light. That's all right. Over space.
That's right. And so you don't imagine that a violation of Einstein's theory about not being able to exceed the speed of light, you rather imagine that sometime in our distant future, or somebody else's present, it's already been achieved?
Well, even Einstein was modifying all his formulas when he was using time, when he went back and started using time as a variable rather than a constant.
Gordon, going back again to 1957, at Edwards, we did talk about the photographs that were taken, and it's my understanding that before you sent off these photographs as ordered, you got to see them. You actually got to see the negatives.
Right.
Now,
see the negatives.
Apparently, the cameramen were told that what was in the negative was a balloon.
And several years later, when things came out on it, that was my understanding that someone had interviewed them, and they were told that that's what the pictures were on.
I think that's what the story generally was from about 1940-something or another, maybe the 50s, whatever it was, it's a balloon.
That weather balloon seemed to get around a lot, didn't it?
Well, I understand you were able to observe, at least in the negatives, that it had a tricycle-like landing gear.
Right.
Interesting balloon.
Yeah, the only balloon I've ever seen was a landing gear. Although, it's funny, one time I was two T-38 solo-ers, Pete Conrad and I, and Neil Armstrong, Elliot C. were heading up to St. Louis to do some work on Gemini 5 spacecraft. And we were cruising along around 40-something thousand feet, and the two T-38s, this loose formation, and I looked out about 10 o'clock high and said, "What do you see out there about 10 o'clock high?" He came back around. I don't know that I really want to say what it looked like.
Really?
And so we finally called flight service and said, we'd like to
Sure. Sure. If it's round and you're looking at it from below,
Yeah.
it's going to look a lot like a saucer, no question about it. So, anyway, your real personal opinion is that there is something going on, and that it's worth investigation.
Well, I think so. Yeah.
Gordon, most Americans, unfortunately, because at least Americans my age, are never going to get to go to orbit. They're never going to be in space. They're never going to know what it feels like.
Don't give up yet.
Well, I'm not giving up, but I mean, I just, kind of looking around at the odds right now, I'd say it doesn't look too good. When you first experience weightlessness, is it a terrifying feeling of falling, as I've heard people describe it? Do you get used to it? Do you enjoy it after a while? What's it like?
Oh, you get used to it very rapidly. It's an unusual feeling, but it's very relaxing, and you get used to it very rapidly, and it is a very enjoyable feeling. And when you come back to where you have weight again back on Earth, you realize how heavy you are.
Did you get sick at all?
No, I didn't.
You didn't?
No.
Now, was that because of I presume you guys went through a lot of testing with what they called the vomit comet or something or another that produced temporary states of weightlessness in a dive, right?
Yeah. You climb, and then you climb over the top, you climb, and you're going across the top while you're in a situation of weightlessness.
Well, a lot of people are wondering, one of the mandates, Gordon, that NASA has is to begin to privatize space. And it's really one of the things that has not come to fruition. They were mandated by Congress to begin to privatize space. And if it could ever get in the private sector, then maybe some people could literally go to space on vacation someday, I'm sure. Do you believe that process should be hurried?
Well, I think that it is coming along a little slower than no one would hope, but there are a number of companies that are building spacecraft of different kinds, and building boosters, several different companies building boosters in the private sector. I think we will see space begin to have quite a bit of privatization occurring fairly shortly.
So we're on the verge of it, you think?
I think we are.
You are in the middle of, apparently, this galaxy group, which is producing among many other things, something called the Fantex 2000, a vertical lift craft with saucer-shaped wings. Why do you think, it says here that you think the saucer shape is the way we should have been going with aircraft design for a long time? Why?
Well, one of the reasons we did not years back was that we had no artificial stability system. And a saucer is inherently mutually or slightly unstable. And with the old advent of mechanical control systems, we perhaps would have some trouble controlling it. But now with artificial stability, there's no reason why you can't take advantage of all the aerodynamics that you get off a saucer. And the saucer certainly has very interesting aerodynamics compared to a wing.
Actually, I don't even understand the aerodynamics of a saucer. I understand a wing, and I understand lift, and I understand aerodynamic flight, and I don't understand how to relate that to something in a saucer shape.
Well, a saucer really is just like a wing, just like the whole vehicle really is a lifting body, a lifting wing.
Well, if you're working if you are heading a company that is doing this, then is it too much of a leap of faith to imagine that they've got saucer-shaped flying things out at Area 51?
Well, as I said earlier, I certainly hope they do. I hope they're, really a few generations ahead of the spacecraft that we all see around.
Would you like to have gone to the moon?
Yes.
You probably would have been a pretty good guy to have along with respect to Apollo 13, with the kind of hands-on experience that you had. Were you ever a candidate for a flight of that sort, or ever considered?
Oh yes, I was in the. I had an Apollo backup team and was in through selection process.
I watched a number of programs, Gordon, about the astronaut preparations and the backup teams and so forth, and were people thinking that it would not be too bad if somebody got the flu on the wrong day?
You mean before flight? Or?
I mean that if somebody who might get flu leaving a seat open for you.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was always open to that, I guess.
I don't know if you can answer this or not, or maybe you can just say you can't answer it, which will tell us as much as really, I guess, an answer would, or nearly as much. And that is this question. Are there many things that occurred to you during the time you were in the space program, or during all the years that you were connected to NASA and experimental aircraft? Are there many things that even today you can't talk about?
No. No.
Not really?
No.
Nothing out there. Nearly anything at this point would be declassified and you could talk about it.
That's correct.
You've heard reports that on some Apollo missions, there were inexplicable things that were seen. Have you not?
I've seen reports in magazines, but I've not seen that unofficial NASA documentation.
There have been, Gordon, some recent, very, very interesting pieces of footage that have come from shuttle flights. STS-48 was one.
I've seen that.
You saw that, did you? The explanation given for what we saw in STS-48 was ice crystals. Did that seem to wash with you just fine?
No, not really ice crystals, but my choice was meteors.
Meteors.
Because I saw 1,000 meteorites on Gemini 5 in August in the high meteor shock. It certainly looked like meteors to me.
Okay.
Although there was one of them that had painted one material removed.
It certainly did, didn't it? I've watched that again and again and again, and it seemed as though one was reacting to the other. Was that your impression?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Maybe a coincidence, maybe not.
No, just
Then there was another more recent shuttle flight, and I'm not sure if it was 50. I think it was 50, Gordon, in which the outboard camera on the shuttle appeared to come down and focus on a specific piece of land. Whoever was controlling the camera from the ground focused on a specific piece of land and zoomed in and waited. And without question, there was something that appeared to come up from the ground at an incredible speed. Perhaps some sort of experiment, perhaps something leaving the atmosphere at a tremendous speed. I really have no idea. Maybe some sort of laser or plasma weapon, or who knows. Have you ever seen that footage?
no, I haven't seen that.
I would love your view of it. When you were in orbit, spending all that time in orbit, did you spend more time looking outward toward the stars or back toward Earth? Did you ever see anything in orbit that you know, you kind of did a double take on, because so much of the film that we get back from these STS missions is kind of strange stuff. I mean, it's kind of hard to explain, and you were there, you were in orbit, so.
Yeah, and I looked and looked, but I never did see anything. It was unusual. It could be extraterrestrial in origin anyway.
If you, back then, were able to take photographs of license plates, then they should, by now, very nearly be able to count the hairs on our head if they wanted to. Is that too much of a leap of faith, or do you agree?
I agree.
Oh, boy. To imagine that is up there, and to imagine they can do that is something to think about. Really, it is.
All you gotta do is put a big lens on.
Yeah, big lens. Have you ever thought about going back to space? I mean,
yeah, I'm waiting for Mars.
Mars, huh?
I want to get my old age study like John got his on the shuttle. I want mine on the Mars mission.
Were there any ill effects? I didn't hear of one for John Glenn.
No, I don't think he did. I think he came through in great shape.
A great shape, as a matter of fact. So, what does that tell us, then, about the rigors of space flight? Given that even though John Glenn is long in the tooth, he's in pretty good shape. But doesn't that really mean that if we could do it, the average American really could go to space? Gordon, let me tell you this. I was wrong. It wasn't STS-50. It was STS-80. And I described to you that camera which zoomed in. And I had somebody here at the house, Gordon, who worked on SDI. And I showed them this clip from STS-80. And they were sort of sitting there interested in observing. And all of a sudden this thing shoots up from Earth, obviously. And this person, who I will not identify for their own safety, said, "Oh my God, I worked on that." So I guess since you didn't see it, I would ask you, would you like to see it and perhaps render an opinion?
Okay.
It's one of the most spectacular things I've ever seen, and I sure would like to get your opinion. So I'll see to it that you see things. One more wild question, and that is, obviously, I mean, I think all Americans know that the astronauts had an awful lot of camaraderie. You guys were very close, very competitive, but very close. And there must have been a lot of times when you got to sit in a bar somewhere, knocking back a few with some of the other guys. Were you ever told anything by any of the other astronauts about anything that was seen on the moon or elsewhere that they didn't really particularly want to talk about in public?
No. Of course you would have been.
I interviewed Edgar Mitchell, who got to walk on the moon, and he made some comments that to this day I wonder about, Gordon, and they were, he said, you know, it's kind of strange, but when I try to think back and remember my emotions and my feelings as I was walking on the moon, I can't. And that always puzzled me. You would think that would be such a high point in your life that there would be almost nothing that you would forget about it or you know, that you didn't notice. But he did make that comment on the air with me, and I thought that was very strange.
Well, one of the things that people don't realize is all through every space flight, it's so well planned and for every little detail. And the fact that every second of the whole flight is planned out because the time is so valuable, you know.
That they don't have time for that.
You really don't have time to do a lot of errant things. And you're really concerned about staying on your timeline and getting this done, getting this done, getting this done. So a lot of your concentration is on just doing the job.
That's a really good point. And it goes, then let me ask you about this. I've long said that people don't, many times they don't see things in our skies because, you know, we're driving our cars or we're doing our tasks, and we're not spending a lot of time looking up at the sky.
That's right. You can't very well look up at the sky when you're running down the freeway somewhere.
Not live for long. So, was it kind of the same way with you? In other words, you did get to look out the window, but they kept you pretty busy too, didn't they?
Oh yeah, every space flight is crazy.
Gordon Cooper, thank you.
In Israel, America, England, when you begin to look at the symbols, the words, the terms, the national coats of arms, the seals of nations, listen to what the president is saying, I am totally convinced for my own self, and I've been looking at this for over 40 years, I'm totally convinced what's going on right now is that the president of the United States has no control over anything. I think that what's going on is there are very powerful, awesome creatures on this earth that look like men, and they act like men, and they can eat with you, but they are not normal human beings. These people are despotically powerful, murderous in their intent. They don't care a thing about human life because they created it. They don't give a damn about nations, races, children, family values. That's all crap to them. They created this creature called man. They are in a whole different world than we are. They don't see the same things. Their technology is so far above us. Their understanding of human creation is so far above anything we understand. They are, as far as we're concerned, gods. Consequently, I think that what we're seeing now is a war between the gods, and consequently, tohu bohu. I believe that it's my opinion that we're going to see in the next 2.5 years trouble like we have never seen it before. It's frightening, the implications of what I just think back on the gods when they're at war. You like war and you like bloodshed, well, stick around. Now you're going to see how the gods do. You look, America loves all these war movies. Good, stick around. You're going to really want to see this one. Because the gods are going to show you what war is really all about. And it hasn't got a thing to do with sparing the children and only dropping bombs on military. No. The gods, they don't give a damn about none of it. They're here to do one thing, and that is control and take ownership of us, of their creation. Incidentally, if the concept that I have outlined that we creatures, we humans, are actually the offspring of the gods, or some kind of a mating action between the extraterrestrials or the Elohim, Anunnaki, the ancient gods, whatever you want to call them. If there is something to this, if there is any validity to this concept that extraterrestrials who came from heaven, yeah, of course, if they came here and they said, come, let us create man or make man in our image and our likeness. You've got a very interesting situation here. You have Neanderthal or hominid creatures. We haven't even discussed where the hominid creatures came from. We're not even dealing with that yet. But you're talking about an extraterrestrial life forms that look like us, and they have come here from another world, from another place in time, and they are attempting to procreate with the indigenous creatures that are here, and consequently their DNA and their system, their body system from where the world they have come from is so superior to ours, and yet they are smart enough to know how to blend our DNA, the creatures, the hominid creatures, with them. Is this how we got today the Yetis, abominable snowman, the Yetis? What are some of the other terms that are used for those creatures? What is it? Bigfoot. Yeah, Bigfoot, the Yetis, whatever. They are hominid creatures. They walk on two legs like male. They look like men, but they are animals. But they are brilliant in intelligence and can outsmart anybody. They have obviously supernatural powers to go in and out of dimensions. There's a lot of material on that subject. So, and too many races of people around the world, from China to Asia to North America to all of the ancient cultures, talk about the Bigfoot, the Yetis, those mysterious creatures that live in the wilds. It would not surprise me if those Yetis, Bigfoot creatures, are the original experiments of the Anunnaki gods cohabiting and crossbreeding with the hominid creatures that were here, but they put too much of something in and not enough of the other, and they came out even more vicious than what they were and even smarter. But they're still animals. Well, they screwed up. Okay, now we got to do it something better, because this thing was, before it was just an animal. Now it's a vicious animal, and it has supernatural powers like we do. So, all right, and that thing's already gone. Let's forget it. Let's move it on and do it again. This time we're going to do it better, and so now they do it again, and now they got it right. Now they got it balanced and got the DNA correct and got it right and gave birth to us. So I'm saying, if any of this has any validity, and I'm just pointing this material out because this is what the Bible says. And so consequently, if any of this has any validity, it very well might be, as my friend William Henry has been talking about for many years, and Zechariah and all the rest of them, I think that we might be seeing a war being put together right now, not by men. It is very possible that we in this country and the world in general is being led. We have talked about Illuminati, the secret society, the fraternal orders, even among the Masons of Europe. When you confront the Masons of Europe and you ask them, who actually is at the top of your organization? At the very top, who are they? They will tell you that they don't know. That is not to be discussed. They don't know who is at the top, and it's none of your business. And you want to stay alive and just do what you're doing, then you just take care of your business at this level and don't worry about who the boss is. And consequently, the Masons in Europe refer to their masters as, quote, the hidden chiefs or hidden masters. Somehow or another, the hidden masters behind world events, today we refer to them as the Illuminati or whatever. I don't think the Bilderbergers and the Council on Foreign Relations and any of those organizations are of any importance to me at all. Those are just the mundane nuts and bolts of how the organizations put together to make things work. I'm more interested as to who are the gods behind world affairs? Who are the brilliant minds at the top of the pyramid, symbolically? Who are the intellectual elites behind world events? I'm totally sure there's only a handful, a very small, tiny handful, and I would be a bit surprised if they were the Elohim, the Anunnaki, the men who look like men, but are not men. Consequently, so many people have said, how can these people go to war killing innocent women and children, like the First and Second World War, murdering and killing? How could men do this? I don't think men are doing it at all. I think that there are powerful entities in this world who look like men, and they give the orders, you better jump. And I don't care if you call yourself president, it just don't matter. If you get in their way, they'd sooner kill you as anybody else. They got an agenda, and you had better jump when they say it. And consequently, I think that's what we're looking at today, a war between the gods. It has nothing to do with the human element. It has to do with a cosmic, cataclysmic time in which the gods are battling now for our ownership. This is what Steven Spielberg and George Lucas have been telling you. Steven Spielberg in his movie Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. You need to go back and get the movie and watch it. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. What is the Last Crusade? Well, if you don't understand the first two Crusades, you're never going to understand the Last Crusade. You know what the Crusades were all about? Do you know who started the Crusades? And what were they crusading about? Well, it has to do with the ownership of people, international banking cartels. It has to do with the Knights Templars of the 9th and 10th century. So consequently, if you don't understand what the first two Crusades or the first three Crusades, then you're not going to understand Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. What is the Last Crusade about? It has Indiana Jones looking for something called the Cup of Christ, or the Holy Grail. The Cup of Christ, the Holy Grail, there have been many, many stories and many interpretations of this, but basically it goes back to one thing. The cup represents the holder of the wine. The wine is poured into the cup. The wine has always represented the blood of mankind. Jesus said, drink this wine, for this is the blood of the covenant. So you drink the wine, all of the men around the table would drink the wine. They are symbolically drinking the blood of the God, so that they are locked into a partnership with God. You're drinking the wine, which is a ritual. The wine represents the blood, and in the Christian sense, it represents Jesus' blood that's being shed for us. So you're drinking the blood, taking an oath to lock yourselves together in a sacred mission. All right, but the Holy Grail, the lost Grail, is a cup in which you pour the wine. The cup represents the earth, and the wine represents the blood on the earth. So the cup represents the earth. The human blood on the earth is the wine in the cup. Consequently, whoever holds the cup holds the blood of the human family on the earth in his hand, which I believe is a symbolism of the ancient gods who have come here from another world, and they are saying, who owns this property down here? Well, we created it. You created it, but we own it. We're coming in and taking it over. And that's why Saddam Hussein has said he believes he is the reincarnation of King Nebuchadnezzar. I got a feeling that there's some really powerful, strange occultism going on in the Middle East right now. And we in America and England, the Western man is getting ready to get involved and become cannon fodder. We're going to become involved in a war that you have no idea in the world how big it's going to be. Because this has nothing to do with generals sitting down and plotting out some war plan. No. This is going to be one hell of a conflict. It's going to be a cosmic conflict between the gods. And even today, Christians are beginning to realize this is the things which are talked about in the Bible prophecies. We are in the time of the end. Yes, we are in the time of the end of the age of Pisces. and the coming age and in and out of offspring of the gods, or some kind of a mating action between the extraterrestrials or the Elohim, Anunnaki, the ancient gods, whatever you want to call them. If there is something to this, if there is any validity to this concept that extraterrestrials who came from heaven, yeah, of course, if they came here and they said, come, let us create man or make man in our image and our likeness, you've got a very interesting situation here. You have Neanderthal or hominid creatures, and we haven't even discussed where the hominid creatures came from. We're not even dealing with that yet. But you're talking about an extraterrestrial life forms that look like us, and they have come here from another world, from another place in time, and they are attempting to procreate with the indigenous creatures that are here, and consequently their DNA and their system, their body system from where the world they have come from is so superior to ours, and yet they are smart enough to know how to blend our DNA, the creatures, the hominid creatures, with them. Is this how we got today the Yetis, abominable snowman, the Yetis being put together right now, not by men? It is very possible that we in this country and the world in general is being led. We have talked about Illuminati, the secret societies, the fraternal orders, even among the Masons of Europe. When you confront the Masons of Europe and you ask them, who actually is at the top of your organization, at the very top, who are they? They will tell you that they don't know. That is not to be discussed. They don't know who is at the top, and it's none of your business. And you want to stay alive and just do what you're doing, then you just take care of your business at this level and don't worry about who the boss is. And consequently, the Masons in Europe refer to their masters as, quote, the hidden chiefs or hidden masters. Somehow or another, the hidden masters behind world events, today we refer to them as Illuminati or whatever. I don't think the Bilderbergers and the Council on Foreign Relations and any of those organizations are of any importance to me at all. Those are just the mundane nuts and bolts of how the organizations put together to make things work. I'm more interested as to who are the gods behind world affairs. Who are the brilliant minds at the top of the pyramid, symbolically? Who are the intellectual elites behind world events? I'm totally sure there's only a handful, a very small, tiny handful, and I wouldn't be a bit surprised if they were the Elohim, the Anunnaki, the men who look like men, but are not men. Consequently, so many people have said, how can these people go to war killing innocent women and children, like the First and Second World War, murdering and killing? How could men do this? I don't think men are doing it at all. I think that there are powerful entities in this world who look like men, and they give the orders that you better jump. And I don't care if you call yourself president, just don't matter. If you get in their way, they'd sooner kill you as anybody else. They got an agenda, and you had better jump when they say. And consequently, I think that's what we're looking at today, a war between the gods. It has nothing to do with the human element. It has to do with a cosmic, cataclysmic time in which the gods are battling now for our ownership. This is what Steven Spielberg and George Lucas have been telling you. Steven Spielberg in his movie Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. You need to go back and get the movie and watch it. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. What is the Last Crusade? Well, if you don't understand the first two Crusades, you're never going to understand the Last Crusade. Do you know what the Crusades were all about? Do you know who started the Crusades? And what were they crusading about? Well, it has to do with the ownership of people, international banking cartels. It has to do with the Knights Templars of the 9th and 10th century. So consequently, if you don't understand what the first two crusades or the first three crusades, then you're not going to understand Indiana Jones and the last crusade. What is the last crusade about? It has Indiana Jones looking for something called the Cup of Christ, or the Holy Grail. The Cup of Christ, the Holy Grail, there have been many, many stories and many interpretations of this, but basically it goes back to one thing. The cup represents the holder of the wine. The wine is poured into the cup. The wine has always represented the blood of mankind. Jesus said, drink this wine, for this is the blood of the covenant. So you drink the wine, all of the men around the table would drink the wine. They are symbolically drinking the blood of the God, so that they are locked into a partnership with God. You're drinking the wine, which is a ritual. The wine represents the blood, and in the Christian sense, it represents Jesus' blood that's being shed for us. So you're drinking the blood, taking an oath to lock yourselves together in a sacred mission. All right, but the Holy Grail, the lost Grail, is a cup in which you pour the wine. The cup represents the earth, and the wine represents the blood on the earth. So the cup represents the earth. The human blood on the earth is the wine in the cup. Consequently, whoever holds the cup holds the blood of the human family on the earth in his hand, which I believe is a symbolism of the ancient gods who have come here from another world, and they are saying, who owns this property down here? You know, well, we created it. You created it, but we own it. We're coming in and taking it over. And that's why Saddam Hussein has said he believes he is the reincarnation of King Nebuchadnezzar. I got a feeling that there's some really powerful, strange occultism going on in the Middle East right now. And we in America and England, the Western man, is getting ready to get involved and become canon.
We are going to be looking at some disturbing videos, strange and odd news stories, and as always, let's go ahead and get right into today's video. So this is pretty interesting. In one of my most recent videos, I had spoken about Yellowstone because more and more people are noticing that the animals in the area are acting pretty unusual. Bears, elk, and other animals are leaving in packs. Researchers say that the animals do this to look for other food sources, but normally they would do so during the winter and not in the summer. Not just that, but around the same time, we're also getting news coming out that new holes are appearing in Yellowstone, and these holes are filled with very blue water. And in that same video, I had shown an article where back in April of 2025, scientists and researchers, they were going out there and basically creating mini earthquakes, small earthquakes. And they said they were doing this to test the lava of Yellowstone to see when it may erupt. And in that same video, talking about these scientists creating these small earthquakes at Yellowstone, I said this: earthquakes to test the magma to see when possibly Yellowstone could erupt. Now we know that there's nothing bulletproof. Anything man-made is not 100% guaranteed for safety. What happens if one of these tiny earthquakes trigger a bigger earthquake? Now you have a chain reaction, and this much bigger earthquake then triggers Yellowstone. Do you honestly think these scientists that are triggering these tiny earthquakes at Yellowstone would take responsibility for any chain reactions? I highly doubt it. And you know what's also funny? So they were doing these tiny... So yeah, like I said in that video, let's say they're not doing anything ominous, but one of these earthquakes that they are creating out there just happens to trigger a bigger earthquake or a cluster of earthquakes, and something goes wrong. Again, will they take responsibility? Because I find the timing of these news articles now coming out to be very suspicious. Suspiciously, that news article that I read from MSN about scientists creating these tiny earthquakes has been suspiciously deleted just very recently. But luckily, I was able to go ahead and screen record that article. So the question happens to be, are they now trying to go ahead and slowly scrub that news story from the internet? But I was able to find another article talking about this on a local news station, this one right here from Idaho. But going back to these other news articles that are now coming out, take for example this news article from MSN, which was published yesterday on July 22nd, and multiple news agencies are talking about this. This article is titled, "Scientists Discover Ominous Sign That Yellowstone Supervolcano is Building Up to an Eruption." And why is it building up to an eruption? Because there is a lot of activity currently taking place under Yellowstone in the form of earthquakes. Continuing to read the article, it says, using machine learning, researchers found that there have been over 86,000 hidden earthquakes between 2008 and 2022. That is 10 times more tremors than scientists had previously detected. My question happens to be, how many of these earthquakes are natural and how many of these earthquakes were artificially created that these researchers had admitted to creating? The article continues to say, worryingly, more than half of these earthquakes came in swarms, small groups of interconnected tremors, which have been known to precede volcanic activity. The researchers say that these chaotic swarms were found moving along rough young fault lines running deep below the Yellowstone caldera. These clusters of seismic activity are likely caused by hot mineral-rich water forcing itself through cracks in the rock. Yet again, like I said, how much of this is actually natural? How do we know, or how are we guaranteed that these researchers who are creating these small earthquakes at Yellowstone are not contributing to this, whether intentionally or unintentionally? Because again, if something goes wrong, which it could, and a super volcano just happens to erupt thanks to these earthquakes, are they going to take the blame? No, they would just say they miscalculated and there was more activity under Yellowstone than they thought, which I also said in my last video. My thing is, with all the chaos that Yellowstone would bring, like I said, just worldwide changes, I don't think they would ever tell us the truth that Yellowstone is about to erupt. I mean, if you're looking at other certain things that they're not telling us the truth on, again, something as big as Yellowstone, I think they would just let it happen. They would just continue to say, everything's fine, the animals are fine, it's all AI, nothing's about to erupt. And if it does, they'll just go ahead and say, well, we just miscalculated. The article continues to say, Yellowstone is one of the world's largest active volcanoes, and if it erupted, it would cover up 2/3 of the United States with ash. Entire states could become uninhabitable as toxic air sweeps through them, grounding thousands of flights and forcing millions to leave their homes. Now, one could say that these articles or news articles talking about this could be fear-mongering, but something like this would be perfect for the World Economic Forum. You will own nothing and be happy, reducing the population and so forth, while the so-called elite hide in their underground bunkers. And something like this, again, would make it easier for them to usher in that 2030 agenda. In one hand, these researchers are absolutely shocked that they found all these earthquakes hidden beneath Yellowstone that's causing a cluster that may lead to a massive eruption, but yet in the other hand, they're telling us that they are the ones creating these earthquakes. This is the kind of gaslighting that needs to be called out. Going back to where I said that they would create these small earthquakes and say they miscalculated, check out this part of the article right here where it says, when scientists want to look for seismic activity around the caldera, they normally have to manually inspect vast amounts of data. However, by using machine learning techniques, Dr. Lee and his co-authors were able to comb through years of past seismic recordings to look for previously undetected tremors. Dr. Bing Lee, an expert on earthquake mechanics from Western University, says, if we had to do it old school with someone manually clicking through all this data looking for earthquakes, you couldn't do it. It's not scalable. This revealed that tens of thousands of earthquake swarms have been missed by earlier manual inspections. Again, I'm just not buying it. They already admitted to creating smaller earthquakes, and whatever they're creating is just adding more and more activity under Yellowstone. The animals, they know that something is not right under Yellowstone, and whatever is occurring under Yellowstone is not natural. But on the subject of weather manipulation, before I move on to a different topic, I found this news article to be pretty interesting too. This news article from Yahoo News, which says, the science behind the heat dome, a molecule of molecules, and this article was published yesterday, July 22nd. So, in other words, it's going to be hot, very, very hot. Continue to read the article. It says, from Texas clear to Georgia, from the Gulf Coast on up to the Canadian border, a massive dangerous heat has started spreading like an atmospheric plague. In the days and perhaps even weeks ahead, A high-pressure system known as a heat dome will drive temperatures over 100 degrees Fahrenheit in some places, impacting some 160 million Americans. Extra high humidity will make the weather even more perilous. While the thermometer may read 100, it may actually feel like 110. They're going to explain what exactly a heat dome happens to be and why does it last so long, and also what gives with all the extra moisture. They're going to say that a heat dome is a self-reinforcing machine of misery. It's a system of high-pressure air which sinks from a few thousand feet up and compresses as it gets closer to the ground. When molecules in the air have less space, they bump into each other and heat up. That's their explanation anyway, but I do want to go ahead and talk about this part right here where it says, in the beginning, a heat dome evaporates moisture in the soil, which provides a bit of cooling, but then the evaporation will significantly raise humidity. A major contributor during this month's heat dome will be the swaths of corn crops across the central United States, which could help raise humidity in states like Minnesota, Iowa, and Indiana above that of Florida. That sort of high-pressure system also grabs moisture from the Atlantic Ocean and the Gulf. So you see what they're doing here. They are blaming corn crops. They are blaming the farmland when it comes to this heat, when it comes to this heat dome. You can even see several articles right here where it says, yes, corn crops can negatively impact the climate in several ways. Now, there's always been corn crops. There's always been a lot of corn crops. I remember growing up as a kid in New Jersey, and there would be corn crops everywhere. Yet, for whatever reason, now they are the threat to the climate, and they are what's causing this heat dome as of 2025. Now, of course, I don't believe it's the corn that's responsible for this heat dome, but I also do wonder if this heat dome may contribute to a very powerful hurricane or hurricanes, because we do know that the NOAA said that we're going to go ahead and see monsters as of 2025, perhaps even for the very first time, a Category 6. Researching this further, it says a heat dome caused by a high-pressure system can indirectly influence hurricane intensity. While a heat dome itself doesn't directly intensify a hurricane, it can contribute to conditions that do. For example, a heat dome can warm ocean waters, and warmer ocean temperatures are a major factor in hurricane intensification. Additionally, the high pressure associated with a heat dome can steer hurricanes and influence their track and landfall locations. Interesting, because 2024 also had a very bad heat dome over certain locations, and we know that there were very bad hurricanes that hit over these certain locations, like in Florida all the way to the East Coast, hitting the Carolinas. So make no mistake about it, 2025 will be a very, very bad hurricane season. We might even see some first, like they already told us we would. And like I said, I don't believe it's the corn that's creating this heat dome, which would essentially intensify these hurricanes and guide them to certain locations, if that's not suspicious. Reading this article from CBS News, maps show the locations where this heat dome will be greatly impacting. The article continues to say, as the extreme heat hits parts of the Corn Belt, a region over part of the Plains and Central Mississippi Valley, where the heat index values could reach between 105 and 110 degrees, high humidity is also expected. The common phenomenon is known as corn sweat, which occurs when extreme heat beats down on corn crops and causes it to perspire and increase the humidity in the air. And still, on top of everything else, people are still finding oddities on weather radar systems, like for example this video from Tech World 1.
Let's take a look at what's going on in California here. This is roughly where Vandenberg Air Force Base is. You see that emanating out towards the coast from there? Watch, boom. See that right there? Those pulses that look like the Wi-Fi symbol. Yeah, that's microwave energy. It's coming down here as well, but it's a different pattern. You see that? They're shooting out into the ocean to dissipate any moisture that might be coming to save us from their heat wave that they're inducing. And you see this massive pulse going from east to west, and all these NexRed towers here. But you can pull up on a map and see the positions and see how they're radiating. It's not birds, honey. It's not weather. See? Fixed position. You see the towers, the black in the center. All right, it's emanating outwards from that. We're being microwaved by the people You'll think the world is overpopulated. So, yeah, heads up.
In this next segment, given the fact that there are a lot of news stories currently out there are a lot of distractions, one thing we should really be keeping our eyes on is the fact that the government, they passed the Genius Act, which basically allows them to regulate stablecoins or cryptocurrency, basically opening doors for a digital dollar. One person that voted no against the Genius Act was Marjorie Taylor Greene.
I want to lay this out straight for you all. You never thought in your lifetime that the government would shut you down, would close your churches, would close your schools, would close your business. And that happened only a few years ago. But what is happening today is the groundwork is being laid, and it's all in the name of cryptocurrency and stablecoin. But it is the entire regulatory process to switch us from cash to a cashless society to digital currency that can be controlled by the federal government. And there will be no ban on a central bank digital currency. There will be no way to protect your ability to fully control your digital currency in the future. And I'm voting no to this today. I don't know if there'll be any other no votes on the Republican side, but I'm voting no to this because I'm a Christian and I've read the Bible and I believe what Revelations 13, 16 through 17 says, and I just cannot vote for a future system that will do that.
Now the thing is, the Genius Act does kind of get rid of CBDCs for the United States, but it's also kind of a double-edged sword. And make no mistake about it, while getting rid of the CBDCs, which is the central bank digital currencies, is a good thing, we're still going to be moving into a stable coin which is backed by the US dollar, meaning more than likely, or we will, be getting rid of cash and moving into a digital dollar. While there are some people out there that believe that this might be a win, I'm going to go ahead and get into as to why this might not be such a good thing. This video from Huey Media does an amazing breakdown when it comes to the Genius Act and the digital dollar. And just to clarify before I go ahead and play his video, this is not a political thing, this is not a Trump thing, this is not a Kamala Harris thing. No matter who was going to be in office, this was coming regardless. There were so many people warning of this 10 years ago, 20 years ago, that something like this was coming. The signs were there. The digital dollar that would control everything. You can find all these interesting articles like this one right here that was published back on August 25th, 2021. Cash will soon be obsolete. Will America be ready? Talking about how America will embrace the digital dollar and get rid of cash. They have always been getting us prepared for this for quite some time, with allowing us to use our palm to access our phones, our cars, now using our faces to make certain purchases.
This is wild. In Dubai, if you want to buy something, you don't need your credit cards or cash anymore. You pay using your face. Watch this.
You don't need cash or card. You pay with your face. Let's grab a drink. Let's pay.
Most people don't realize that they've already started piloting paying with your face here in the United States. Just last year, JP Morgan linked up with Whataburger to do just that. If you've been to the airport recently, you know you don't even need to get out your ID or passport. They just scan your face. And over time, people have gotten more and more used to this technology. Most people use their face to unlock their iPhones, and some people even use the palm of their hand to pay for things when they shop at Amazon or Whole Foods. Companies are now pushing for this technology to be integrated and widespread. Say that there's no security risk and that it's just for your your convenience. But with data collection, surveillance, and AI in the United States being at an all-time high, is giving away your face card to not swipe your card really worth it? As always, let me know what you think about all of this down below.
I also remain fully committed to my pledge never to allow the creation of a central bank digital currency in America. It won't happen. The first.
So I saw that clip on my Twitter timeline. I'm like, thumbs up, hell yeah. I'm flapping my wings like a bird because I'm like, we're free from the central bank digital currency. This is an actual win. And then a few moments later, I see the clip from his buddy, David Sachs. And this is what he said. Take a listen.
And now today, you have another historic legislative achievement that is a monumental step to fulfilling your promise to making the United States the crypto capital of the world. This Genius Act will unlock American dominance in the crypto industry by creating clear rules of the road. It will update archaic payment rails with a revolutionary new payment system. And it will extend U.S. dollar dominance, like you say, globally by creating a digital dollar that people all over the world can use.
Do you guys hear that? One more time.
It will extend U.S. dollar dominance, like you say, globally by creating a digital dollar that people all over the world can use.
So to me, that sounds like the same thing, just a different label. Instead of a central bank digital currency, oh no, you're not getting that. You're just getting a digital dollar. Anyways, I was curious, so I went to ChatGPT and I asked it, I said, how exactly will our lives change with this new Genius Law passed and a digital dollar? And this is what it said. It said you'll still use dollars, but digitally. It said you won't stop spending money, but you'll slowly stop spending physical cash. It'll be fast, cheap, and convenient, but behind the scenes, every transaction will be logged, traceable, and potentially programmable, which sounds terrible. It says that pilot programs will start quietly. You might start getting offers like claim your $500 digital rebate, faster tax refunds if you sign up for your federal wallet, and it will feel like a reward, but it's bait to get you into the system early. I'm sure my audience will enjoy this one. We'll be nudged towards a digital ID, and to use the digital dollar long term, you'll likely need the KYC verification, your social security number, and possibly even biometrics, face scan, and fingerprint. And eventually, the wallet will equal your ID. And once you're in, opting out becomes harder. Thumbs up. Next one, it says your money could be smart. Programmable money means that your funds could expire if not spent by a deadline. It could be restricted to certain merchants, items, or regions, or be frozen or limited based on government decisions or flags. So to me, that kind of sounds like if you get on their bad side, they could just freeze our funds. Think if you keep questioning about the Epstein files, your account's going to get frozen. If you keep, questioning why we send all this money to our greatest ally while we have a bunch of issues here at home, your funds will be frozen. Sounds great, doesn't it? Next one, it says surveillance will be built in. That's pretty self-explanatory. Anything digital, they can basically see and flag you and watch what you're doing and spending on at all times. So, good. Here we go. I'm sure my audience is going to absolutely love this one, and that is that they will have more control over us during emergencies. You think Palantir, they're going to have all our data. They're going to know if we're vaccinated, all this BS. And then they'll be able to say, oh, it's an emergency. There's a new pandemic. You got to stay home to stay safe. Hey, what do you think you're doing? We know that you're not vaccinated. Well, you're supposed to stay home and stay safe. And we see that you're trying to go to that bar, that movie theater, hang out with your friends. You're in danger. You're putting them at risk. Before, they couldn't really do much about it because you just use cash. Now it's all digital, what they're trying to do. So they'll just be able to shut your account down and you'll be screwed. And this is how it finished. It said, bottom line, this is what the Genius Act sets the foundation for, a compliant, traceable, and eventually programmable dollar rolled out by private actors just strictly to avoid the CBDC label. With government back-end control, it won't look like tyranny at first. It will look like innovation, safety, and convenience. But over time, it becomes a soft prison that you can't escape without being flagged. Anyways, guys. Who cares about all that? Because the good news is, at least it's not a central bank digital currency. It's a digital dollar, which does the same thing, and we're still controlled, and there's still psychopaths, but it's a different name, a different brand, so everything's great.
Now, and while this act will not immediately do away with cash or do away with the dollar, again, this does open that doorway now. People have been saying for years, for decades, we are going to go into a digital currency that will be completely controlled, and there will be no more privacy like you would have with cash. And they can go ahead and turn it off with just a flick of a switch if you're not on your best behavior, like Larry Ellison said. And the thing is, you don't hear many people talking about this because I guess they are distracting people with whatever they want to distract them with. But at the end of the day, thank you so much for watching. If you like this channel and you want to see more, please subscribe. If you're already subscribed, please like, as any engagement does help the channel grow. Once again, thank you so much for your support.
eventually you're going to see some activity in the sky. And sometimes without even looking that hard. I know I've had some encounters out here in Arizona, and I wasn't looking. I never looked. That's the truth. I have never looked, and this stuff just appears, if you're alert, like polenta, out of nowhere. It comes from somewhere. Where it comes from, that's anybody's guess. This one here turned out pretty good. You can see the detail over here on the right. Again, super bizarre. Not quite sure of the origins of this. Maybe it's a glitch. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't think so. Looks very, very detail-oriented. But again, down here at the 55, 32, 35 south, 69, 15, 53 west. By all means, check it out yourself. It is highly, highly unusual. Speaking of unusual, I don't know if you guys know this or not. I did a video about it several years ago. This is an instrument that views the ionosphere of the Earth, and the instrument of all things is called GOLD. G-O-L-D. And when I was studying this phenomenon many years ago, I ran across this craft, and it's measuring ratios of elements in the ionosphere, right? It's measuring gold. Because, in case you guys didn't know, we are surrounded by gold below us, all around us, and above us. And gold is even in your body. Yeah, you got gold in your body. You're like, oh, this guy's nuts. No, it's the truth. There's trace amounts of gold everywhere, basically. This is an article that I ran across many years ago when I learned that the sun had enough gold in the sun to fill all the oceans of the earth. I was like, wow, that's a lot of gold, you know. 2.5 trillion tons of gold. So here we go. I just want to give you guys a quick synopsis of the gold situation that we're currently in. Most of the gold on the surface of the earth is leftover that didn't sink down to the inner core of the earth. The inner core of the earth has a lot of gold. Okay, and this story, article was published back in 1970, 1973. This goes back a long time. And I just want to give you, like I said, this is a long article, it's a long read. I did a video about it many years ago. But there is gold. Check this out. There is gold all around you, in you, below you, above you. In seawater, fresh surface water, groundwater, algae. It's in plants. It's in trees. It's in shrubs. It's in flowers, mosses, and it is, yes, in your body. I didn't know if you guys knew that or not, and this article here just goes on and talks about, they did a study back many years ago about the gold content of water, plants, animals, and humans. There's gold in us too. So it's quite fascinating to think that there's so much gold surrounding us, and I think that this spacecraft, it monitors the ionosphere, monitors it for trace amounts of gold, because it's definitely there. And the unique, one of the most fascinating things about this whole story is gold doesn't come from the Earth. Gold comes from supernova and cosmic origins. Gold does not originate here. And obviously from the sun, but where did the sun get it? The sun doesn't have the capability to make gold. The gold is everywhere. It is all around you guys. In case you didn't know that, you have probably, well, you're consuming gold every day. If you drink water, there's trace amounts of gold. There's gold in plants. If you're vegetarian, or if you eat vegetables, you're eating trace amounts of gold. It's everywhere. I found that very fascinating. And when I first ran across that fact, I was like, wow, you know, I did not know that. It was quite fascinating indeed. Speaking of fascinating, I want to share some things with you guys here, going from gold to sky phenomena, as Polenta was talking about in California. The skies over there are truly a sight to behold sometimes. She sends me some incredible pictures. Did any of you guys hear about this story? This young lady here, I was asked to analyze this video, so I took a look at it. I couldn't quite tell what it was. It almost looked like a weird street light falling from the sky with multiple bulbs on it, multiple globes. But this was out of Pembroke near Boston. Check this out. This was spotted falling through the sky This young lady was out back right here. Mystery object spotted in the sky. See what I mean? Let me pause it. See how it looks like a street light? An old-time street light with 4 globes on it? Even though it's got a globe on the bottom. That's the only thing that doesn't resemble a street light. But it's tall like a street light. Falling through the sky in the evening. What in the world? So I zoom in, take a closer look like we do. I slowed it down. Maybe you guys can. There you go, right there. I paused it. Bingo. Okay. Anybody know what this was? Did anybody see a follow-up video about this mystery thing falling through the skies of Boston? This was just a few days ago. She was out back in her pool, and here it comes through the sky. It wasn't dark yet. Kind of weird. What's up, Trina? What's going on, Redcap? Willie Wayne. Gold shots. Oh, your father? Yeah, gold shots. Directly into the spine by a doctor. Yeah, they say gold is good for you. You're right, head trip. Yeah, gold is a very fascinating study, and it's like our ancient ancestors knew long ago. How rare gold is on the surface of the earth. The vast majority of the gold is in the interior. But nevertheless, we're still surrounded by gold. Average person, Guyana. What was it? Did anybody ever find out? I couldn't tell by that. I don't think it was SpaceX. Behind the building. Again, not an airplane, not a helicopter, not a drone, not a Chinese lantern, but it's moving way too fast. Just bizarre. Okay, this one here is where it gets weird, alright? Jennifer Stone out of South Carolina. This has a little bit of narration. This isn't a stationary object, and you can tell by the sound of her voice, she was genuinely shocked by what she was seeing. And check this out.
I don't even know how to process it on speed. I don't look at this.
Main gift
of energy going from South Carolina to these photos that were sent in by Rick A. just a couple of days ago. He said he spotted this in the nighttime sky. This is the original over here on the left. Over here on the right, I zoomed in. I couldn't really do too much with this one here. It's a good, excellent photo. But he said he described it as a plasma donut in the sky. And if you've ever looked at the Earth through a satellite up above in the polar regions, this is what the top of the Earth looks like during a geomagnetic storm. Looks exactly like that. That's called the ovation prime, when the top of the Earth is glowing from a geomagnetic storm. I was surprised at the uncanny resemblance, but that was much lower in the atmosphere, and he was able to just casually take a picture of it. Something right there, super mysterious in the skies above South Carolina. Oh my goodness, that was a classic right there. Gold everywhere, the South America arc, the comet. Oh yeah, here we go. The UFOs, we've got stuff to talk about in this video. Don't go anywhere, guys. Gold is everywhere. I'll put that down below here in the description box if you guys want to read about the gold. Really cool stuff. Oh, yeah. Okay, here we go. I've been getting videos of this. I get them all the time. The Starlink satellite trains, they're everywhere. Here's another one, in fact, it's out of Charleston, South Carolina. Again, sent by Nairobi. Young lady took site that I've used for many, many years, and they get their charts from the University of Utah. They're both offline, and they're not down for maintenance. So what's up with the seismographs? Again, another day of no data. Looking at the situation at Mount Rainier, just a quick update, 929 now in the last 30 days. That is a significant increase from a couple of days ago. It was just 800. I know 800 is still a lot, but that tells us that the energy is increasing. The frequency of earthquakes is increasing at Mount Rainier. So we're seeing an uptick in energy, and we're seeing a decrease in our ability to monitor this energy via the seismograph. Unbelievable. What a coincidence. Is that a coincidence, or is that a conspiracy? I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards the conspiracy side, really. It's no coincidence. I don't believe it. But we do have access to some seismographs. As you can see, these are global ones, positioned around the world. The ones over here by China, these three are in China, and they're the eastern part of China. And they're detecting the energy from the swarm north of Japan. But most of these seismographs, as you can see here, are not functioning. They don't work. These are the seismographs over here in the U.S., Montana, Wyoming. For some reason, the one in Wyoming here is not working. No data, and there's no data there on that one. In fact, the vast majority of these seismographs are quiet, and that's a good thing. We don't want to see a lot of activity on these things, because if there was, thank you for the super chat there, Everett. If there was, that means a lot of big earthquakes. I've seen these things turn completely black following a large, shallow earthquake. All of them. Here's one in Nevada showing some dark signatures. Let me get my handy dandy zoomer here. I'll get right with you, Everett. Thank you for the super chat. There's the zoomer. Let's see what's up. There you go. No earthquakes that I know of in Nevada. At least nothing significant. That signature right there is really strong on the bottom. It's occurring now. What's up with that? And that's lasted over an hour. See how long it is? When it goes all the way across the graph, that's 60 minutes. One line is 60 minutes. And that bottom line represents an hour. So something is being detected in Nevada. Exactly what? I don't know. But I don't think it's an earthquake. And that's what I like about these things. They'll detect other energy as well. That's how they learned about the shape of the interior of the Earth, is how the energy moved on the seismograph. Mono gold is what our body absorbs. Thank you, Everett. You are correct. Gold is everywhere. Thank you for the super chat, man. Really appreciate it. Anybody else want to throw a super chat in there? By all means, do. Go ahead. It's okay. You can put as many super chats as you want. Here's the thing, guys. You can put as many super chats in there as you want. Ask me any questions you want, and I'll answer it to the very best of my ability. When I see the super chats are always colored. They're blue, green, I believe yellow, orange, and red. Send them on in, and I'll take your questions. I've got one other thing. I want to show you this EMP, but I was wanting to share with you guys the seismographs. The situation hasn't changed any. In fact, it's still exactly the same as it was yesterday. Not much happening with the seismographs. I don't know why they're offline, and neither does anybody else. Looking at the Sahara sand, keeping you guys updated. You can see it's getting really, really close. Look at the sand plume over here by Puerto Rico is completely engulfed. Coming up into the Bahamas right now, and probably by this time tomorrow, that sand plume right there will be all over Florida. It's just, like I said, I'd rather deal with a foot of snow than that. That is nasty, and there it is in color. Same plume, only in color. You can kind of see how close it's getting to Florida. Already had a plume go into Texas. This diminishes the air quality, but the only good side about this is there won't be any hurricanes form out here in the Atlantic Ocean. They simply can't, because the air is just way too dry and there's too much wind shear. Thank you, email. There has to be some wind shear, because otherwise this stuff wouldn't travel 4,000 miles across the Atlantic Ocean to where it's at right now in the Bahamas, in the Caribbean Sea, making its way up into the Gulf. That is nasty. Absolutely nasty. No joke. But it is what it is, and it starts every summer right around the first day of summer. It starts a little bit prior to that, in the latter part of May, but it'll be like that all summer, guys.
What else do I have to show you guys? I've got more. Hang on, don't go anywhere. Ah, here we go. Yesterday I talked to you guys, just made a mention about the power outage situation. Power outages overall have been good across the United States because we haven't had a lot of storms here. But for some reason, in D.C., there were 3 power outages in 2 days. This article here is dated the 20th at 9:45 a.m. and they were talking about the power outages. Someone said we lost power for another 7 hours on Saturday, and we just lost power again on Sunday, and I believe they lost power again on Monday. 3 days in a row. Well, look at the rate. That's super cool, man. Stephanie Finch sent this in. Now watch, guys, and tell me if this is a coincidence. Okay, watch that pulse right there. Back it up, watch. You're just watching the radar. This isn't a storm or anything. You can see the storm with my just light showers. Then that pulse above Washington. And then it'll disappear. Do you think this information is being hidden on purpose? Good question. Let me like that. Thank you for the super chat, man. That's super cool. I do. It's no coincidence. I don't believe in coincidence. And thank you so much for the super chat. See the pulse right there? It just appeared like that. And coincidentally, there's been power outages there that they don't understand. So that was an anomaly detected on radar that more than likely could have been something that could have affected the substation. Could it have created what's known as dirty electricity? That's my theory, and like MSG was suggesting, is the information on the seismographs, did they just coincidentally go offline as we're seeing a increase in earthquake activity? And even the weird energy that's being detected along the northern edge of the Yellowstone supervolcano caldera, I don't think it's a coincidence. I don't think this stuff here is a coincidence. Nicholas Bryce sent this video of a building over here to the left that had malfunctioning lights, and then this light here is malfunctioning. None of this stuff is bright, so you guys don't have to worry about the brightness coming through. Pompano Beach, Florida, Susan R. Look at this. Hey, thanks for the super chat there, Don. Look at this, an entire hotel. Are you serious right now? Look at all the lights pulsing. We'll take it back just in case you missed it. Watch the lights pulsing on this hotel. It doesn't normally do that. So was that another batch of dirty electricity? I don't know. Gold is igneous and Roger is right. Mud fossils. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. This video, I've gotten them literally from all over the world. This one here just happened to be from Taiwan. And notice the gentleman coming out of the building over here to the left. He looks up at that right there like he's never seen it do that before. He's like, why is that light flashing? You can tell he's kind of taken back there just for a second as to what's going on over here. That doesn't normally flash. To me, it's just another rogue and random example of dirty electricity. Like here in the Caribbean, and Tasha Cook, in her video that she shared with me, she said it's happening here too in the Caribbean. And this is the first video I've received out of the Caribbean. Doesn't mean it's the first time it's happened. It's the first time that someone shared a video of this phenomena from the Caribbean. Thank you, really appreciate that. And the Caribbean is now on the map and engulfed in Sahara sand. Good grief. This video here was sent in by Ella M. right out here in Arizona. Check it out. Now you're thinking, okay, it's just one light. And you know what? I've got a few videos of just one light. I agree. One light, maybe we can explain away. I couldn't agree more. But there's more than one light here. Notice the light to the left. I'll show you. There's more than one light here that's malfunctioning. So it's not a bulb issue. It's what supplies power to the bulb. That's where the issue's at. Look at the light on the building. So what are the odds of that specific light going bad at the same time the street light, the parking lot light goes bad? What do you think the odds are? Probably a million, couple million to one? But it happened. So that tells me that the bulbs aren't bad. There was a batch of dirty electricity that went through there, probably conceived by dirty electricity. from an EMP, maybe a natural EMP is creating these. I don't know. But that's what I'm leaning towards. That's seriously what I'm leaning towards. It's dirty electricity. Like this dirty sky here. That is something else. Okay, guys, we've got hurricanes, UFOs, quakes, gold, South America, common comparison. Thank you guys for the super chats. Oh, and this video here, oh my goodness, it's been making the rounds. People were very interested in this. You guys, I think you saw, I don't know, maybe you did, maybe you didn't, but remember back years ago in 2012, and there were a lot of people apparently that didn't see this back in 2012, considering it was 13 years ago. I discovered this on the SDO spacecraft. Right there, you can see it kind of detached. This went viral around the world in 2012, and people, apparently a lot of people didn't see it because on other platforms, this thing went, wow, I was quite shocked. But there it is again up close. The mysterious, huge spheres jumped off the southeastern limb of the sun. How about that? That's, in case you all didn't see it, apparently a lot of people didn't see it because there was hundreds of thousands of people that were quite intrigued by that mysterious day back on March 11th of 2012. That's when it jumped off. It was hanging there for 3.5 days. Again, just pay attention, look around. You can't make this stuff up. You don't have to. There's always something. But over here, the homepage of the website today is photo was submitted by Jessica of South Carolina. South Carolina's been a hot spot recently. UFOs, various things in the nighttime sky and daytime sky. And you see right here, there's like a big oyster shell coming down out of the sky, diving into the lake. Not much happening, a little bit of activity. We're starting to see a large region down here. But again, nothing super dramatic, you know. But this was my theory with regard to the mysterious lights that are, again, are malfunctioning all over the world. Some sort of an EMP, I think, is coming from somewhere. Exactly where? There could be a lot of places. Looking at the Yellowstone supervolcano caldera, nothing to see. Now, if we go back in time, which we can, we go back to say the 15th, there they are. They're not there today. They've been there for a week. And I noticed as this thing here was kind of getting a little bit wonky, about a month after this, they went offline. So looking at right now, there's nothing there. So a mystery, as MSG said. Is that a coincidence? I don't think so, guys, but I'll leave that up to you. Here's the flight path, the itinerary of the ancient time traveler that's in the solar system right now as I do this video. So it should be responding to the solar wind. It's close enough to the sun to at least develop some sort of a halfway visible tail, especially as big as it is. Nothing, don't see anything. You see like an energy field around this thing, and that's about it. They're monitoring something in the atmosphere. This craft right here that you see, you're looking at the eastern and western hemispheres of the Earth through a spacecraft called GOLD. And these images are obviously from 2018, but I think that they're monitoring the trace amounts of gold in the atmosphere with that particular spacecraft. Very cool stuff. Once again, you cannot make this stuff up. All right, let's see. I want to thank MSG again. Thank you, MSG, for the super chat. That was super cool. And guys, you can throw as many super chats as you want. I know I've said that before. Become a Star family member. The link's at the top of the chat. What's going on, guys? 2012. All right, my ears love it. You've been here this whole time? That's cool. So you saw it back in 2012. You know, a lot of people didn't, because keep in mind that was 13 years ago. So people now that are taking an interest in this type of stuff that we've been following for many years, there's a new crowd that's taking an interest in this stuff, and they hadn't seen it, and they liked it. You know, they were very interested in it. So Not everybody had seen that yet. That's why I revisited it. In fact, somebody had brought it up and asked me if I could reanalyze the big mysterious sphere, which was supposedly identified as a coronal cavity, but there's coronal cavities up there all the time that don't behave like that, you know? So it truly was a very mysterious moment in time, and it makes you wonder, you know, how many other times that's happened. I haven't seen it since, and that was way back in 2012, absolutely. All aboard. What's up, Jenny Allen? Jenny Allen is a Star family member. Stacy Gabler, Star family member. Cam's Razor, what's up, buddy? You saw the big sphere? I know people were speculating that, okay, is this some sort of a large craft up here refueling? I mean, anything was on the table that day. We spotted it in 2012, I think it was March 7th going into March 8th. And this thing was visible through the spacecraft the 8th, the 9th, the 10th, and it detached on the 11th. So in all seriousness, it was up there it was in position for about 4 days. 4 days, and usually natural features like that, especially something in the corona that can be moved around, influenced by the solar wind that's constantly, you know, departing the sun, for something to be there that long like that and maintaining its perfect shape, super rare. I've never seen anything like it, and you know, the world was very interested in that. I know I was. Hey, Jenny Allen, what's going on, guys? Yeah, March 11th. That's correct, Tony. March 11th seems to be a day. You know what I'm talking about? March 11th, when the tsunami and stuff occurred over in Japan. That also occurred on March 11th. The next year, March 11th of 2011 was the 9.0 earthquake in Japan, and then March 11th of 2012, exactly 12 months to the day, that object that you saw right here leaped off the bottom of the sun. Exactly 12 months later. Can't make this stuff up. You don't have to, it's real. I don't make stuff up anyway. Just look around, pay attention. You'll see some fascinating things, guys. You really will. But I want to thank everybody for stopping by today. I really enjoy your Star family. In fact, I got something I'm going to share here later on this evening to all the Star family members. So thanks again to Stacy Gabler. It's crazy hot here in Illinois. You know what, Stacy? I know. But what's odd, Stacy, it hasn't been that hot here in Arizona. No, I think yesterday it didn't even break 100. And for us being in mid-July, I can remember summers when we were in mid-July and it was 117, 118. For it to, and that's above average, but you know, normally it's well above 100, close to 110. Didn't even break 100 yesterday, and today I think it got up to 100 exactly, or 101. And then it's supposed to be like that for the next 10 days. How hot was it up in Illinois today? I know the humidity up there is off the hook. I know the humidity is terrible. It makes it feel hotter. Sure. Yeah. I guess I'm just looking at the chat room over here. I keep the chat over here monitor. It just makes it easier to manage everything that I want to share with you guys, and then I can still kind of see the chat over here. Right. It just makes it easier for me. Plus, the live stream is hard, so we're not trying to do this through AirPlay or Bluetooth. They can kind of get glitchy at times, you know. So I try to stay away from that if I can. Normally I can, right here. Oh my goodness, 93 with 121 heat index? Wow, that is hot. Oh, that is so unbelievable. That's like a Louisiana type of a read. Well, the heat index, that's like a heat index for out here in Arizona. But y'all got that humidity. I know all about that Illinois humidity. Yes, I do. 110 in South Texas sun today. Holy cow. 30 in New Zealand. So 30 is, Angela, you're going to have to help 30 in New Zealand. What's that, 90? 90 Fahrenheit. Sorry, Polenta, Sacramento has had less than 5 triple-digit days. Windy every day. Very bizarre. Thank you. Hey, what's the temperature? I'm just curious since it was brought up by Stacy. 110 in Texas. What's the temperature in your location? Put it in the chat box if you would, please. I'm curious. I'll show you what the temperature is here. Where's that? There we go. Here's the temperature in Phoenix. Look. So it's hotter in some other places than it is here in Arizona. It hasn't been that hot. It really hasn't. And we're not complaining. No. We have long, hot summers out here. 98 in Alabama. Thank you, guys. Polenta, 83 in Northern California. 102 where I'm at. That's right now. 111 with humidity in Southwest Louisiana. Oh, are you serious? Thank you, Ken, for the update. Wow, stay inside. Woo, 16 Celsius in the UK. Plus 13 in Alberta. 19 or 94 in Liberty, Texas. Big Scrub, 83, 77 in Southern Ontario. Boy, 77, that's nice. That's a nice temperature. Good for you. 83, windy in Sacramento. 90 right now in Kentucky. Heat index of 110. Woo! 84 in Northern Ohio. Thank you, Meredith. Thank you, Shauna. Thank you, Sean T. 84, feels like 83, 60% humidity in Hawaii. That's nice, Hawaii. Good for you, man. That's perfect weather out there. 81 here in Northeast PA, 90, 100% humidity. Raining, 87 in Baltimore. Thank you, TK. Thank you, my Moti. Bobby, 95 in Utah. Thank you, Andrea. Sean T, UV of 6. Yeah, that should be, like right now, the UV shouldn't be too much at all because it's all about the sun angle, you know. Shine, 76, New Mexico. This is interesting, 97, 98, South Carolina. That's hot in South Carolina. Thank you, Greg. 98, Cajun in Oklahoma. Shauna, 77. Boy, I know, right? 77 is perfect. That's nice for an afternoon high. 84 in California. Thank you. 84 in Mansfield, Ohio. This is going kind of fast, guys. 97 in Southeast Missouri. Head trip. That's in the Ozarks, down around Branson, Missouri. I know where that's at. 89, where Greg's at. 78 in Denver. 78's nice. That's comfortable. 84 in Georgia. And there's probably no humidity up in Denver. 87 in Myrtle. 90s with humidity in Chicago. And you're from Phoenix. That's interesting. Yeah. Thank you, Jill. I've been to Chicago a few times. Yes. Yes, ma'am. 84. Thank you, Java. Marty, 79. Minnesota. Remember, you can become a star members. Oh, thank you, Stacy. Yeah, you guys can. Remember, it's literally pennies a day, and you can become a star family member. Click on the link in the top of the chat box there. Easy peasy, man. Easy peasy. All right, guys. Well, that was fun. I appreciate all the updates. And like Stacy said, don't forget to become a Star family member. It's really easy to do. The link is right up there. Easy day. 76 in the mountains of West Virginia. Good for you, Mark. 68 in London, England. Thank you, Steve. That's a nice temperature, too. Thank you, Polenta. Way to go, guys. Well, I appreciate that. It kind of helps put things into perspective. I know it's been below average here in Arizona, and there's not one single person complaining, because for mid-July, we are very thankful to ever have a year where temperatures are below average, especially midsummer like this, because it does make for a long summer, especially if the temperatures get up around 115. It is just unbelievably hot. But to have it in 100, I mean, it seems like it's very hot, but we'll take it. We'll take it. I want to thank you guys. Thank you, Miss D. Thank you, moderator. Good job again. I want to thank all you guys for spending part of your day with us. Don't forget to become a Star member. Thanks for watching. Have a super day and be safe out there, guys.
Okay, she's coming. I'm gonna have to retreat out so we can stay ahead of this thing. It's starting to come over the head. It's coming in. So what town is it coming into? It's coming into Hazard. Coming into Hazard, Nebraska. Okay, let's that's a beast. It's just a flat out beast. It's just a full-on beast. Let me see if I can get a camera on it. Let's see here. This one's broken. Throw that back there. Got to get another mount. Got to get another mount. Let's see. Hook up. Put you over there. That's the south side, but we gotta pull out here and kind of get out of. Yeah, it's closing in on us on radar, so we're gonna go back to Hazard and go back to Hazard, and then we're gonna go towards Ravenna, Nebraska. Definitely has a severe warning on it. Let's see if I can remember where I'm supposed to go here. That takes you south. I don't want that, so I want this up here. Outflow winds are hitting right here, gusting. See it picking up a little bit of dust here, so now at the moment we're shooting down front. Is this Highway 2? Yeah. It's a big whale's mouth on this part of the storm that's coming out over us. This is definitely a beautiful, I mean, it's a beautiful look with all the blues and the turquoise. And right now this storm is headed for Hazard and Ravenna, Nebraska. It's kind of moving along right now. It's actually kind of getting out in front of me, threatening to sort of pull me in. Getting a little precip and getting some decent wind here. Picked up speed. Getting some stronger wind gusts here. It's time to get in that truck and maybe move it on down the road. Another storm, it looks like you can see it off in the distance to the right. Looks like it's punching out, and that, I'll try to give you a visual of that here on the radar. But you can see how the storm is punching out, and we're somewhere in there, blue circle. Trying to get this thing as it coming in. Let's see if we can just get that a little bit. That's too much. There. Working with the camera. Entering Buffalo County, Sweetwater. Guess that's a town. Look over here on this side. Look up in there. There's a without my driver's side window. It's coming right over our heads, so red lighted here at the old bridge, so it's time to just shut her down here for a second. So I got somebody just became a, what did we get here? Seismic Mike with the 5 gifted. Appreciate that, Mike. Some W's to Mike. W's to Mike. I'd turn you the other way, but the wind, the rain is blowing. Didn't want to get that on the lens. As a matter of fact, I probably better wipe it off just in case. Let's wipe this off just in case. Phew. Thank you for the 5 gifted, Mike. Welcome to Storm Champion, guys. Some heavy rain coming across here. Heavy rains and wind. Just right on the out on the edge of this thing. So we just got a massive glob of stuff moving across Nebraska right now. Is there anything, any of these getting some serious rotation? Look at these rain curtains coming across the road here. I don't know if you can see that. See the rain curtains blowing across from right to left. Just gonna get pelted by it right here. Gusting out on this massive supercell. You see those rain curtains right there? Just blowing right along, going fast, moving fast right in front of us. You can see them, but probably not. They're there. approaching. It's a fog. Raining and fog. I don't know if it's just because it's hitting the hot concrete or... What do we got here? Yeah, we got a lot of wind. Got a lot of wind here. Can't really stop to see if there's maybe some rotation on this. It's definitely just gonna keep moving along.